The rain fell in silver sheets against the windows of the towering glass building. Inside, Margaret Hale, the billionaire CEO known for her cold precision, sat at her mahogany desk staring at the invitation in her hands. It was embossed with gold letters, an elegant reminder of the charity gala where her family and business rivals would gather. She sighed. Her family expected her to bring someone who proved she wasn't as heartless as the tabloids painted her. But in truth, Margaret had no one. Success had cost her the very thing people called love. That night fate intervened. While leaving the office late, Margaret saw a man sweeping the marble lobby floor. His shoulders were tired, his clothes worn, yet there was something in his eyes, gentleness mixed with exhaustion. She watched him kneel as a little girl ran up, holding a drawing. "Daddy, look, I drew us a house." His face softened as though her crayon sketch was worth more than all the wealth in the world. Margaret lingered, her chest tightening in a way she hadn't felt in years. The janitor's name was Daniel Reed, a single father, widowed, raising his 6-year-old daughter Lily on his own. The next day, Margaret did something reckless. She approached him. "I need a partner for an event," she said, her voice uncharacteristically nervous. "Pretend fiancé, just one night, I'll pay you generously." Daniel stared, broom still in hand. "You want me, a janitor, to play your fiancé?" "Yes," her tone was sharp, defensive. "You'll be compensated." But Daniel shook his head. "I don't want your money. My daughter, she deserves stability. I can't risk making her think love is just a transaction." It was the first time in years someone had refused Margaret. Something about his words stung, truth hidden in simplicity. After much persuasion and Lily's innocent excitement at the thought of Daddy wearing a suit, Daniel agreed, but only under one condition: no lies to the little girl. Margaret reluctantly promised. The night of the gala arrived. Daniel wore a borrowed suit, his hands rough, his shoes scuffed. But when Margaret introduced him as her fiancé, he didn't act the part of a man overwhelmed by wealth. Instead, he smiled with quiet dignity, holding her hand like it meant something. The ballroom was filled with power and arrogance, but Daniel's authenticity disarmed everyone. He opened doors for Margaret, complimented the servers, and even spoke kindly to a rival's wife who had once humiliated Margaret in public. For the first time, Margaret wasn't just respected, she was seen. Later, when Margaret's father cornered her, sneering, "So this is the best you could find, a janitor?" Daniel didn't flinch. He looked the older man in the eyes. "With respect, sir, I may not have wealth, but I have something money can't buy: my daughter's trust. And tonight, I will protect Margaret's heart the same way I protect hers." The room fell silent. Margaret's chest tightened, her throat aching. No one had ever spoken for her like that. Over the weeks that followed, the charade continued: family dinners, public appearances, but the line between pretending and feeling blurred. Margaret found herself drawn to the warmth between Daniel and Lily. Their little routines, the bedtime stories, the prayers whispered, the laughter over burnt pancakes, were foreign to her world of boardrooms and contracts. One night, Margaret stayed late at their small apartment. Lily had fallen asleep on the couch, her tiny hand still gripping Margaret's sleeve. "She trusts you," Daniel whispered. Margaret blinked back tears. "I don't deserve it." Daniel looked at her, steady and unyielding. "Everyone deserves love, Margaret, even you." It was in that moment she realized this wasn't a game anymore. The turning point came when a tabloid discovered Daniel's real identity. The headlines screamed, "Billionaire CEO engaged to a janitor." Margaret's board demanded she end the embarrassment. Her fortune, her reputation, her empire, they all urged her to walk away. But when Margaret looked at Daniel, standing tall though the world mocked him, and at Lily, clinging to him with trust shining in her eyes, she couldn't do it. For once in her life, she chose love over image. At a press conference, cameras flashing, reporters shouting, Margaret stood before the world and declared, "Yes, he's a janitor. He's also the most honorable man I've ever met. He taught me that love isn't built on money or titles. It's built on sacrifice, kindness, and family, and if that costs me everything, I'll pay it gladly." The crowd fell into stunned silence. Then slowly applause began, first from one corner then another, until the room thundered with it. Months later, Margaret no longer lived in a penthouse but in a modest home filled with laughter, drawings on the fridge, and the smell of pancakes on Sunday mornings. She still ran her company but differently, treating her employees as family, funding scholarships for single parents, creating opportunities for those who once felt invisible. And in the quiet of the evenings, when Lily would curl between them and Daniel would reach for her hand, Margaret understood something she never had before. Love wasn't a deal to be signed, it was a gift to be cherished. Sometimes the richest hearts are found in the poorest places. Love is not measured in wealth or status, but in the quiet moments of selflessness, sacrifice, and kindness. And sometimes the person we least expect can teach us what love really means.